his claws naturally wear down. We don't, because we are careful with what kind of trees we use, we don't generally ever have to Dremel his claws. And that's kind of important because the last bone of his finger is inside of his claw. It comes all the way down probably to about there, the last bone that's inside of that claw. So you really have to know what you're doing to groom a sloth's claws. But far better that it should work by nature's way, and just let him wear it down over time. Here, I'll be happy to take a picture of both of you.
Nice and slow. Nothing fast. This is Flash.
Hey,
Yeah, this is Flash, all right. Hey, Flash, how you doing, baby?
So I'm just hanging out.
Yeah.
Does he mind being pet or?
So to pet him, you want to do it along his back, slow and gentle like that. He does not like to be scratched, he does not like to be rubbed, and he doesn't like to be touched on the belly side. But you're welcome to pet him like this. He's softer than he looks like he would be. So we used to drive through Maryland when you go across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, because I'm retired from the Navy. And about, 30 minutes up from the tunnel, there's that little seafood place that people come from all over the world to go to.
Which one?
No, it's the one that we
The little, it's just a,
Discover?
what's that?
no, it's the one that
Jimmy's.
No, it's the one we like to go to. We have
A little hole in the wall. Looks like it used to be a Pizza Hut or something.
G&M? No.
no. He's talking about off the Bay Bridge.
If you come off the Bay Bridge Tunnel, and you go about 20, 30 minutes north from there on the left-hand side of the road, there's just a little hole-in-the-wall seafood place that people come from all over the world to go to that place. My wife loves it. I don't remember the name. I'm not a seafood guy. Anyway, I guess it's not. I guess you guys aren't.
We're
are.
really big on the seafood.
Oh yeah.
It's not Jimmy's, it's not Pappas, it's not.
My wife says we need to drive back to Hampton Roads just to go to Captain George's. I don't disagree because the dessert buffet there is wonderful. I'm not a seafood guy myself, but.
This is so cool.
All right, so Flash is a sloth, and you guys are going to feed him his breakfast while I teach you some things about sloths. And this is going to last for another 20-25 minutes, so you don't necessarily have to jam all of his food into him in the first 5 minutes. But Flash is a sloth. Alive in the world today, there are two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths. Differences between them. Obviously, the two-toed have 2 toes on the front, three-toed have 3 on the front. They all have 3 on the back feet. The two-toed sloths have fewer vertebrae in their cervical spine between their skull and their shoulders. Three-toed sloth has 9 vertebrae in their cervical spine. A two-toed has 5. So the two-toed sloth, the three-toed sloth turns his head 270 around like an owl. The three-toed sloth does his turning from the body portion. The three-toed sloth has 3 vertebrae of a tail. Two-toed sloth has no tail, but they have the same number of vertebrae from end to end. So the 3 from the tail and the 4 from the skull on the three-toed sloth are all between the hips and the shoulders on the two-toed sloth. So he's got 7 more vertebrae in his zucchini. So watch what he's going to do here in a second. So the two-toed has 7 more vertebrae in their
Smaller area.
between their hips and their shoulders. So the two-toed is going to turn his whole body around like a slinky, and you're going to see that he's going to get to where his hips are basically 180 from his shoulders, like that. Two-toed sloth. So a two-toed sloth is like a slinky that he does his turning like this till he can get to basically 180. A three-toed sloth is going to turn its head like that, like an owl, because of the way their spines are set up differently.
So they're completely different breed, it sounds like.
They are different animals, but they're pretty similar. They have some significant differences though. And that can lead to some confusion when you're trying to do your own sloth research. So on different websites that you read, they kind of use the word sloth just generically. So you might read on one website that gestation for a sloth is 5.5 months, and you might read on a different website that gestation for a sloth is 11.5 months. That's because they're just using the word sloth instead of, three-toed sloth versus two-toed Hoffman sloth versus two-toed Linnaeus sloth. They are different animals.
Do they breed?
They do not. No. I've never really checked if it is
Well, what happened?
possible, but I don't think they do crossbreed at all. I can't be certain of that. That's not something I've ever checked. But I do know a guy.
When you have a 2.5-toed one.
Yeah. Well, the guy,
That'd be
the guy
funny.
who breeds our baby sloths, it has 2-toed and 3-toed. So I'll ask him. I'll ask him and find out that information.
I see on the website there was a Flash, a Zoe, and a Dash.
Yeah. hmm
Is
Dash
that
is our
baby?
newest.
Oh, so he's a baby.
Dash is tiny. Dash weighs 1.5 pounds right now.
Let's see him or no?
Dash, his encounter thing just opened yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know.
But we have to transfer him down here for his encounters. He still lives in the living room, and it is really cold to be just dragging him out for.
No.
Yeah, but
The picture on the website did not look like he was that tiny. Okay, because it's a close-up picture.
he's tiny.
Yeah, I did not.
There's a
If you
newer picture now.
If you looked at our Facebook or TikTok or something yesterday, we just posted a different picture because there was a girl in a white fluffy shirt that was a perfect background for it. But that's Zoe, that's Dash.
Oh my goodness, maybe.
That's Zoe, that's Dash.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah. 4 times, 5 times. So, 2-toed sloths are somewhat bigger and somewhat quicker than 3-toed sloths. But to describe, and he's gonna run out of food in about 5 minutes at that pace. But 2-toed sloths, to describe them as quicker than anything, you could only be talking about a 3-toed sloth, because collectively they are the slowest mammals on Earth. And when we say quicker, we're talking about, maybe 30 feet per minute versus 15 feet per minute. So quicker, but still significantly less than 1/2 of 1 mile per hour. So not track stars by any stretch. So sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow. But sloths are slow in ways that you don't think about a sloth being slow. So they're slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes, but not his eating. He can eat pretty quick.
And
it
he's
seems.
asking for,
Yeah. And if you watch the way he moves, he comes out all slow like this, and he comes back like that. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But worth noticing while he's like saying, "Feed me, Seymour."
So in the wild, what's the biggest predator?
Jaguars. Sloths are prey animals, not predator animals. Normal cause of death for a sloth is being caught by a predator. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. So they are slow in their digestion. So the first studies on exactly how slowly a sloth digests its food, they put some tiny glass beads into some sloth's food and just waited to see how long it took them to come out. That was 61 to 64 days. So that was the first theory on how slowly a sloth digests. No one seriously believes that anymore. It just seems that glass beads don't move through the way that food does. So the next study was a little more thoughtful. They put some durable dyes onto some various food types. I think it was cochineal shells that they crush them up to get the red dye that doesn't digest. But I'm not sure, I just know it was dyes that don't digest. But anyway, waited to see how long it took the colors to come through. That was 18 to 30 days, based primarily on what type of food they dyed. So leaves are almost all cellulose. Cellulose is hard to digest and not so nutritious. So the leaves are going to be more towards the 30 days end of that scale. And the fruits and veggies are going to be more towards the 18 days end of that scale. Boy, that is the fastest he has ever eaten that dish of food.
So you should slow down.
I'm trying to.
So when they're in the wild, are they normally eating upside down or?
They eat in every position. Their esophagus comes down, goes all the way around their stomach, and then comes in like after a loop. And they have a multi-chambered stomach. And their organs are different than our organs are. So our organs just sit in our pelvis and they're upper bonded by our diaphragm. The sloth has 46 ribs, 23 sets of ribs. And he has connective tissue that goes all back and forth in between all of his organs and bones. So no matter what position he is in, his organs remain in the place that the organs are supposed to be. He does have the same, you could swallow standing on your head as well. Most people wouldn't. but you could because, you know, it's a muscle spasm that moves your food. When it hits the back of your throat, it goes all the way down to your stomach. And I've just lost the word for that, but
Peristalsis?
yeah, peristalsis is the movement that moves your food from the back of your throat all the way down to your stomach. That is a world record, fastest a sloth has ever eaten his breakfast. So, yeah, I guess.
That's how she eats too.
Vacuum sweeper. I just said vacuum sweeper. It's like I still live in Michigan. That's what they call them in Michigan.
Really?
Vacuum sweepers. Yeah, in the South it's vacuum cleaners. And if you live in Ohio, they call them Hoovers. No, sorry. If you live in
Maryland,
yeah,
they
if
used
you
to
live in
call
Ohio,
Hoovers,
they
too.
call them
Yeah.
Hoovers.
Either Hoovers or vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. My grandmother, she used to say vacuum sweeper all the time. She lived in Michigan, Bridgeport, Saginaw, Michigan. But anyway, so while they do digest their food very slowly, they eat tremendously much of it. So a sloth eats 10% of its body weight every single day. And yet they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month, week or 10 days they go to the bathroom. And that's solid and liquid at the same time. Yeah, that gets your head scratching, right?
So every day
So-
they're eating more.
So every day they're eating 10% of their body weight.
10% of their body weight every day. Yep, so human perspective, I weigh 180. That's me plowing down 16-ounce porterhouse steaks every day.
And then
only going to the bathroom once in a week or 10 days. So if he eats 10% of his body weight every single day and doesn't go to the bathroom for 10 days, that means he has eaten 100% of his body weight since he last went to the
no wonder
bathroom.
they're slow.
Yeah. So the food is very low quality. So they're eating primarily leaves. Leaves are almost all cellulose. Cellulose is hard to digest. Very low energy value coming from leaves. But he does digest the vast majority of it. He metabolizes the food slowly but thoroughly. His stomach is multi-chambered. He does a lot of work on the food with his stomach. But yeah, so when he does go to the bathroom, he's going to lose 1/3 of his body mass when he goes to the bathroom. Meaning he has metabolized 2/3 of it, but he still is going to eliminate 1/3 of his body weight. I have weighed Zoe right before she went to the bathroom and after, and she went from 8.4 to 6.3, meaning she dropped 2.1 pounds when she went to the bathroom. And 2.1 is exactly 1/3 of 6.3, meaning that she literally did eliminate exactly 1/3 of her body mass when she went to the bathroom. So again, in human perspectives, I weigh 180. That's 60 pounds. Think of that and feel the horror. But so yeah, the sloth digests his food by a bacterial process, not enzymatic. So for us, you know, he's got big sharp teeth. Usually he chews the food a little bit, but you know, if he just keeps shoving it in, I guess he'll have a little extra digesting to do. But he's got a multi-chambered stomach, so his stomach is doing all kind of work on the food. But at the end of the day, our food comes to the point of absorbability by an enzymatic process, is by a bacterial process. So we also have helpful gut bacteria, and our gut bacteria will last throughout our lives unless we do one thing, and that is take a long course of antibiotics. If you take antibiotics for a long time, you're going to need some balanced job is to make me yawn this morning.
Sorry.
But so yeah, Fallon's on the opposite schedule than me. So did you hear the dogs working on killing each other at about midnight?
All night,
Do you have a
yes.
big white dog that looks like a wolf?
So a few of them, yeah.
They were out on the street.
Say what?
There was one out on the street looking lost.
Yeah,
Oh,
with the
that's-
dark face. I saw him this
The
morning.
one with
too.
the dark face is the one that
That's
is.
the one does.
No, that's not mine.
Uh-uh.
Mine are on collars.
I thought it was a wolf from a distance.
So
Yeah.
the one that's out in the street is the one that is destroying my neighbor's chickens right now. Dog belongs to Bill True, which would stay at home. But anyway, so probably shouldn't say that, but yeah, we do wish it would stay home.
So how much does he weigh about?
15 pounds. He eats
So
1.5
Zoe's
pounds of
Zoe's
food
a
every
little
day.
less than half of that.
Say what?
Zoe's like less than half of that.
Zoe weighs 9, so
Okay.
double her would be 18. But yeah, about half. So bacterial process.
Yeah.
What would kill, if we killed our gut bacteria with antibiotics, we would need probiotics or Greek yogurt, fix our stomach back up. He doesn't have access to GNC or to Publix, so he can't get the Greek yogurt or the probiotics. So he gets his bacteria from a different source. So the sloth, even though he's entirely safe in the tops of the trees, with the exception, no, you're welcome, Fred.
No, so she started to scratch it.
No,
Oh, yeah.
right.
The sloth, when he's in the tops of the trees, is entirely safe from every type of predator except for eagles. Yet he comes down the same tree, same side of the tree every single time. He goes to the bathroom on the same pile that he always goes on. And that is when he is at risk to predators like jaguars and snakes. If he's in the tops of the trees, he weighs far less than a jaguar weighs, so he can go way out to the end of the branch. If the jaguar followed him to the point that the branch broke, and they both fell 80 to 100 feet to the rainforest floor, the sloth would most likely survive, and the cat would most likely not. So they'd both be laying there on the floor, and the sloth would look over and say, ha.
Why would it survive? It's gonna be further out on the branch, so it's gonna have a harder hit.
Oh, well, if they both fall from 80 or 100 feet, they're gonna hit the ground the same.
So why would that be fine?
Because of the way his organs are all hooked inside of him, so it's like a shock absorber for him. And they are very slinky-like, so, you know, it's like they say that the drunk is more likely to survive the DUI crash than the person that they hit. Because the person that they hit seizes up before they crash, and so, you know, it does more damage to the person that's hit than it does to the drunk driver. So I guess you could say he's like a drunk driver. He hits the ground just with a flump.
Same pattern, same part of the tree, in the same place to go make, and that's why they get off.
He doesn't necessarily always sleep in the same place, but he does go to the bathroom in the same place all the time. And the reason for that is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So in the wild, sloths need moths and moths need sloths. There is a type of moth called a sloth moth that lives nowhere on Earth except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. So we said symbiotic. Symbiotic means beneficial to both sides of the equation, where parasitic would be beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other side. So the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the food source and the living environment of the moth. So the moths are eating the moss and algae that are all in the sloth's fur in the wild, not here. Obviously he's not covered in moths or moss or algae. The benefit to the sloth is that we said the sloth digests his food by a bacterial process, and the source of the bacteria is the moths. So as the sloth grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves, which are a small protein source, and he licks up a certain amount of the waste of the moths, which are where he replenishes his bacteria colony from, is the waste of the moths. It is a proven fact that if a sloth gets cold, it will kill his bacteria colony all the way through him, the moths that are on him, and 30 days later he will die of starvation, not for lack of food, but for lack of ability to digest the food.
If they get too cold, I'm sorry, if they get too cold.
Too cold, yep. So the sloth, his energy budget is really low. He cannot maintain his body temperature the way that other warm-blooded animals do. So the daytime high in the rainforest is in the mid-80s, nighttime low is in the high 60s, and his core body temperature will make that range of temperatures on a day-by-day basis. If you get a sloth too cold and he cannot keep himself warm, it will drop his core body temperature to the point that it will kill the bacteria in him, and he will lose the ability to digest. So that is why the sloth comes down the same tree, same side of the tree, and poops on the same pile that he always poops on, is because that is how he replenishes the moths, and that is how he replenishes his bacteria. When he comes down the tree, the moths that live all in his fur, which is around 150 moths at all times, the moths in his fur jump down into the waste pile and lay their eggs. From there, it's row, row, row your boat. Every time he comes down, there's new moths. Because the larvae this time are the eggs this time are the larvae the next time, and the larvae the next time are the moths the following time. So in the life cycle of the moth, there's always new moths every time he comes down the tree, and that's how he maintains his bacteria colony. That's how he digests his food. Then other peripheral benefits to the sloth from the moths are that the moths fertilize the moss and algae in the sloth's fur with their waste, and more moss, more algae is more disguise from predators on the tops of the trees, specifically eagles. Eagles are the only predator that can generally get to a sloth up in a tree. And so more moss, more algae, more camouflage from eagles.
Good question.
Yeah.
Often you see the position that he's in right now, they fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they fall?
So for us, if we ever took a PE class, we could remember
Right.
that a minute is a long time to do a 2-arm hang. This is our stress or exertion state. This is our relaxed state. Sloth is the opposite. This is his relaxed state. And I said earlier when he's reaching out that it's all slow like this, then he just snaps right back. This is relaxed. This is exertion. So when he's hanging like this, he is in his 100% relaxed state. He's exerting no energy at all to hang on to that tree. It is so true that he is exerting no energy to be in that position that if the sloth died, he would not necessarily fall out of the tree. A sloth dead could hang there for days or weeks until something knocked him loose or until something rotted. But yeah, so relaxed state, exertion state. And that is why the sloth can hang there for a long time. Now they also are crazy strong. A sloth can do a 1-arm pull-up by any of the 4 and continue to hang there after he does pull up. But obviously not stronger than people because they're much stronger, but per gram of muscle tissue, much stronger than a human would be. Yep, their sinews are extremely strong. So slow in their movement, slow in their digestion, slow in their metabolism. So their metabolism is really slow, and that means their energy budget is really low. So that is why a sloth cannot maintain his body temperature, as he doesn't have enough energy to do so. Also, a female sloth can only nurse its baby with milk for 3 to 6 weeks. It does not have the energy budget to continue to nurse its baby longer than that.
That was my next question. Do the babies stay with them? Are they in families? Are they all solo?
Sloths are entirely solitary. The only time they come together is to mate. That's only once in a year or two, and only for 5 minutes when they do. They say 2 minutes actually, but I'm giving the sloth a little
Okay,
extra
right.
credit. But the mother sloth will stay with her baby, and different breeds stay for different periods of time. So a 3-toed sloth makes milk for the shortest period of time, but stays with its baby the longest. So a 3-toed sloth potentially may stay with its baby for as much as a year. A 2-toed sloth only for 3 or 4 months. So after they have finished nursing their baby with milk, the reason that they stay together is to teach the baby how to survive in the world. Specifically, they're teaching them what to eat and where to hide, because they are prey animals, so they're being hunted for all their life, every day of their life in the rainforest. They're eating and hiding, hiding and eating and sleeping. So the mother sloth, you can see some kind of cute videos online where a mother sloth holds a leaf in its mouth and the baby eats the leaf out of the mother's mouth. That's how she is teaching the baby which specific leaves to eat. And the baby sloth will follow the mother around, or it'll first hang on the mother and then it'll follow the mother around. And then when the mother weans the baby, she ditches and leaves the baby where it was. And so they used to think that sloths lived in one tree or a very small set of trees because of the bathroom habits. And the initial theory was that they're just neat animals, or that they were fertilizing their own tree. That was before they knew about sloths and moths. Now it seems that sloths have a much bigger range than previously thought. And the one time that a sloth stays in one tree or a very small set of trees is a mother sloth that has a baby. And she's teaching the baby how to live in a very small environment. And then after she has ditched and left the baby there where the baby has been for all its life, the baby's world will expand over time, being caught by a predator. In captivity, of course, there's no predators. And as long as you know how to take care of a sloth, which there is more to it than meets the eye, but if you know how to care for a sloth, sloths can live 50 years in captivity. Similarly, you guys were just on the kangaroo experience, and on the baby kangaroos, we talk more about gestation, reproduction. Out with big kangaroos, we talk more about the life of a kangaroo. But one of the main things to know is that a male kangaroo lives 5, 6, maybe the outside 7 years. Number one cause of death for male kangaroos is male kangaroos, because their normal family group for reds is like 1 male, 50 females. So if you want to be the 1 male, 49 have got to go. And in captivity, they don't kill each other. So in captivity, a male kangaroo can live 20 years, not 5, 6, or 7. And a male kangaroo is like a tortoise. If it is alive, it is growing. They never stop growing. So in captivity, a male kangaroo can get significantly more than 6 feet tall and significantly more than 200 pounds because they live much, much longer. Sloths similarly live much, much longer captive than they do wild, but you know, they grow to their maximum size and quit, you know, like a human would. We don't grow continually throughout our lives, or there would be some massive humans running around out there. So slowing their digestion, slowing their metabolism, slowing their metabolic processes, so they grow slowly. Zoe just had her first birthday December 16th, and she weighs 9 pounds. He is 6 years old and weighs 15, but they live a really long time.
How big?
That's as big as he will get. He's 6 years old. But I did recently see a picture of a sloth that comes from the same breeder that our sloths come from, and it's 40 pounds. And I'm
Holy
like,
cow.
good Lord, I hope Zoe doesn't grow to be 40 pounds. I'll need a back brace because she wants to hang on your neck all of the time.
Zoe's already pretty
But-
chunky for a year.
Yeah, she's getting there quick, and then Dash only weighs 1.5. But
Did you get from the same breeder or?
Dash and Zoe, yeah. This one came from a different breeder. That's why this one isn't held. This one came from a guy who supplies zoos with sloths, and his zoos, you know, zoos normally just keep a sloth in a static
So
environment.
you couldn't even hold it even though he's used to
I have
it?
never held him. So this sloth has been here for nearly 4 years. I've been with him one-on-one for just about every day of those years.
You were comfortable?
I'm with him for an hour a day every day. I've missed maybe 20 days in the last 4 years. And I've never held this sloth.
So now
You can see videos where he comes down and runs his hands all through my hair if I'm not wearing a hat. And he gets nose to nose with me. He'll lay his face up against his face. He'll lay his body up against my body. But he's never made any move to move on to me. And we interact with our animals in the way that they are comfortable with. So I've never held him. And if he doesn't ever decide he wants to be held, that's fine. And like this sloth encounter that we're doing, this was 2 years in the making. Because you can force an animal to eat out of your hand, just don't feed them any other way and they'll have to. But in my personal opinion, that would make it like an adversarial thing, like you have
Right.
the food, I'm gonna get the food. So the other way to do it is to feed him all of his food that he ever gets and just offer him food. Same food he's getting otherwise, it's not a treat, it's just his normal food. And at the point that he decides it's cool to eat out of my hand, great. That took a year. And it took another several months till he wanted to eat from the hand of strangers. And that's okay, because we will interact with them the way they want to. And proof positive on that, the other day he didn't feel like coming down, and he didn't. We just adjusted and did something different. But,
You mean you
you
just
know,
stay curled up in a ball or?
just stayed up on top of the tree and slept all day. And normally he's down here, you know,
Is there a tree in
beating the
there?
heck out of the door if we're not ready on time. And
So
that
he has
day
a-
he
he has
just...
a tree in there that he?
Oh yeah, he's got, this is 2 stories tall, he's got bunches of trees, he's got hammocks, he's got places to lay, places to sleep, places to eat, yeah, he's big.
Out here, they have sanitized.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
This video.
but
You get one.
him not coming down did not mean that he got any repercussion, there was nothing negative that happened. His food that he normally would eat from our hand in here, went in there for him to eat out of a bowl. There was no consequence at all for the sloth
And
for
the food was
not
gone,
coming
and he
down.
ate that day.
Oh yeah, he ate that day. He just didn't feel like coming when it was time to come, and that's okay. We have other things that we can do. But I think in the last 2 years, that's happened maybe 3 times. But it's all good. If he doesn't want to, it is okay. I think he just was lazy. There's fish tank repair going on upstairs right now, and I think that he just didn't really feel like it. All right, you guys are moving on to part 2.
You want to get a last minute picture in there? Is that what you're doing?
No, I just was wondering if you, come down.
So this one is more education, that one is more pure cuteness. So you guys are gonna
Come on, buddy.
The door's open. He's gonna
He
try
wants to
to.
scurry
Yeah.
through the door. We leave the door open, he wants to go in there.
That's a camera. I don't want to-
I'll put this video up that we took it from 3 different angles. So that's on like YouTube, TikTok, and something else. And so we'll put them up and then they'll be online.
Oh, great.
And I did get your 10% more every day joke. Sounds like you're a math person.
Yeah. 10% of his natural body weight, yeah.
Well, I think he was saying because every day he's increasing.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm a math guy too. I didn't think the audience would get it. Engineers. Are you an engineer?
All right, guys, we're
Go on
gonna
to the second VIP. I'll do it. You can call me.
do what now?
Next one has one VIP.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it.
All right, guys, I'm gonna move this camera in here so you can see baby Zoe. Let's see. I think she's still getting ready, so we're gonna give her a minute until she's situated. But I'm gonna set the cameras over here so you can see Flash's face.
So as you see, she's gonna hold on to you, so don't feel like.
Hey guys, I know that this is a new channel here, Sloths and Kangaroos, and we are part of Ocoee Riverside Farm. So if you want to follow us on our other channel, you can do that also.
So I'll transfer her to you, and so when I do that, you kind of just sit here like this, and she'll reach her arms around your neck, and then once she has her arms around your neck.
I thought this was frozen. He's just not moving.
Oh.
There
There you go, guys.
Somebody says Flash wants to see Zoe. Flash wants to see Zoe's room. Flash could care less about Zoe. But it's like staying in a hotel instead of staying at home.
Because that pressure will irritate her from when you sit. So, and then the other hand is
Hey Patty, we're not doing an encounter with Dash today, but I think over the next couple days with all the snow, we'll have some cool videos up with him.
Watch that, and that's why he showed up in white or gray or whatever. You guys already sanitized your hands, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Come on in. So somebody already asked you, you're okay with social media?
Yeah, that's.
All right. I always ask people, you're not in witness protection running from the law here with your wife instead of your girlfriend, supposed to be at work, anything like that.
Gotcha.
Those are the reasons people normally would not want to be on social media. And I got to get him his breakfast ready. You guys are going to get to feed him his breakfast while we do this encounter. And if you give me just a hot minute here, we'll be ready to go.
You guys see any snow flurries coming in? No?
Where you guys come from today?
Newton, Georgia?
Newton, where's that?
It's kind of southeast So,
Down near the outlet malls? Isn't that, yeah.
unless you don't ask your parents,
Have you ever been to the underground?
I have not.
It got sketchy for a while. Underground Atlanta.
I haven't been there in, I don't know, many years. But there used to be a store in there called Art by God. And they sold like, minerals and rocks, and coolest thing they had in there was a stegosaurus skull, like a real stegosaurus skull. And I don't know if they ever sold it. It was for sale for like $250,000. But that was the name of that shop in the underground mall there in Atlanta. It was Art by God. It was a really cool store. You're good. I just need to shred this one. All right, y'all. So this guy's name is Flash. Flash is a two-toed sloth alive in the world today. There are two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths. Talk about that in just a minute here. And you guys are going to feed him his breakfast while I tell you some things about sloths that you might not know. So here are the rules of the game. Hey Flash, you ready to see the people, buddy? Hey buddy, here you go. So a sloth has terrible vision.
So they're more so going to be looking.
Not as bad as a sloth. I can't see the biggie on the chart without my contacts, but sloth is worse than that.
Over there to transfer her.
Here, buddy.
Smell me coming over there. So it's not.
So the sloth cannot see the difference between this and this. So this one you put in his mouth. This is food. This one you don't put in his mouth. It's not food. If you put this in his mouth or in my mouth, either one of us are likely to bite you. So don't just stick your finger in his mouth. Don't put your finger in my mouth. When you feed him, just give it to him like this. He is happy to have it. And he'll hang down here in a second. And he'll be hanging all the way down. You can stand approximately this close to the sloth to take a picture, but it'll be down here, so it'll be like right up against you. And we'll be here for 20-25 minutes, so don't give it to him all in the first 5 minutes. And you are welcome to pet the sloth. He likes to be petted like this. He does not like to be rubbed. He doesn't like to be scratched. He likes to be petted just like that, and he doesn't like you to touch him on the belly side. That's his soft underbelly. Yeah. So, hey, buddy. He's thinking all his breakfast is gone. If he has 2 encounters in a day, his breakfast gets split in half. He gets a specific amount of food every day. And he's like, oh, snap, I didn't get enough breakfast yet. But when the encounter ends, he goes to sleep. So Flash is a sloth. Flash is a 2-toed sloth. Alive in the world today, there are 2-toed sloths and 3-toed sloths. There are some basic differences between them. So a 3-toed sloth has 9 vertebrae in their cervical spine between their skull and their shoulders. 2-toed sloth has 5. So that means that a 3-toed sloth is going to turn his head 270 around like an owl. 2-toed won't. A 3-toed sloth has 3 vertebrae of a tail. 2-toed sloth has no tail. But they have the same number of vertebrae from end to end. So that means that the 2-toed sloth has 7 extras between his hips and his shoulders. So when he hangs down in a minute here, I'll show you what that means. But basically it means that the 2-toed sloth is like a slinky, that if this is his hips and this is his shoulders, he can turn until his hips and his shoulders, watch, let me show you what he does. You can turn until his hips and his shoulders are basically 180 out from each other. Hey, come here, Flash. Yeah, I know. Come here. He's like, hold this a little way, he's smelling everything. His sense of smell is really, really on point, but his vision is terrible.
I can tell it's people who like non-existent.
Yeah, let me give him a little banana right here. He's not interested enough to do his little turning aroundy trick. Hey, Flash. Hey, buddy.
Oh, yeah, we like the banana.
Yeah, you can't let a sloth have too much sugar, though. It'll make his bacteria colony go berserk. So he gets 3 servings of fruit in a week.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, now watch. He's going to turn until his hips are basically 180 from his shoulders. See how he can turn all like a slinky and he's not even moving his hips, just his shoulders. So that's 2-toed. Hips 180 from shoulders, basically. 3-toed, head 270 like an owl. So a 2-toed sloth is somewhat bigger and somewhat quicker than a 3-toed sloth. But to describe a 2-toed sloth as quicker than anything, you could only be talking about a 3-toed sloth in the mammal kingdom. They are collectively the slowest animals in the world. If you're trying to learn about sloths, it can be a little bit challenging because if you're Google searching stuff, they use the terms, and see, he hasn't even unwound. He's just like, yeah, I'm chill, I'm good, doesn't matter. So they use the word sloth interchangeably no matter what type of sloth they're talking about, and there's some basic differences between them, so you can read some different websites that have directly contradictory information, and neither one is wrong. They're just talking about different kinds of sloths. There's other information online that is wrong or intentionally wrong or right, but only for what they're talking about. For instance, we get a certain amount of hate online that people say that they know that it's harmful to touch a sloth, and sloths hate to be petted and hate to be touched. Well, in the wild, that's entirely true. I completely agree with what they're saying about a wild sloth. And there is a significant amount of pressure on sloths due to the wild animal trade. And so they are motivated in what they say by trying to combat the wild animal trade. And I completely agree with that. I don't necessarily even have a problem with the fact that they say these things generically that are only true of wild sloths, because they're trying to keep people from taking sloths out of the rainforest and keeping them for pets. I completely agree with their motivation there, But these are not wild sloths. These are captive bred sloths for many generations. They would have no idea how to survive in the wild, and they love us and their pets. So
Yeah, I lived there too.
sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow. Sloths are slow in ways you do not think about a sloth being slow. So everyone knows they're slow in their movement. Not everyone knows that they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They're slow in every way an animal can be slow. So while he's all down like this, you guys are welcome to stand approximately this close to this sloth. You can stand on both sides of this sloth like this to get your selfies or your pictures. Or if you hand Kevin your camera right there, he'll be happy to take a picture of both of you at the same time.
I can do both.
When I say don't stick your fingers in the mouth, doesn't mean he's prone to bite, neither am I. But if you stick your fingers in our mouth, either one of us are likely to bite you. So if you turn around there, yep, there you go.
I just wanted to get it before he's done eating, and I was like, he's perfect right now. You want a video too?
Yeah.
So why don't you guys shout out your names and where you're from?
I'm Leanne. I'm from McDonough.
I'm Sage, and I'm from Minnesota, technically.
That sounds cold up
You
there.
can't be from Minnesota. If you were from Minnesota, you'd say I'm from Minnesota.
I live in Georgia.
And they've got the Minnesota out of you.
I never had that whole Minnesota
Really?
accent. No.
Because they
What
say
part of-
T's instead of T's, right? They say like Minnesota versus
No,
Minnesota.
they drag out Minnesota.
They draw the O's.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
they drag out the O's. I lived in an RV for a year one time, and I bought my RV in St. Cloud, Minnesota, from Steinbring Motor Coach. Great people up there. We'll give a shout out to John Steinbring at Steinbring Motor Coach. He sold that RV for $85,000 less than anyone else in the country would. So they are in the dead smack middle of nowhere. They're not in St. Cloud, actually. They're in somewhere that doesn't even have a name, I don't think. And when they ask, do you need to go to the bathroom before they get in the car, when they pick you up at the airport, they don't bother to tell you you're going to be in the car for the next 3 hours. But they're out in the middle of Minnesota. So, anywho, the slow in their, so sloths are slow. Everyone knows that, but not everyone knows they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They're slow in every way that an animal can be slow. So slow in their digestion. The first studies on how slowly a sloth digests its food. They put some 3mm glass beads into some sloth's food and just waited to see how long it took them to come out the other end. That worked out to be between 61 and 64 days. So that was the first theory on how slowly a sloth digests. No one seriously believes that anymore. These days most people would just tell you that glass beads don't move the way the food moves through a digestive tract. So the second study they did, or a subsequent, I don't know if it was the second, but a subsequent study, they put some durable dyes onto some different food types and waited to see how long it took the color to come through. And that was between 18 and 30 days, based primarily on what type of food the sloth ate. So leaves are all cellulose. Cellulose is hard to digest and not so good in nutritional value. And so leaves would be more towards the 30 days end of that scale. And fruits and veggies would be more towards the 18 days end of that scale. So they digest really slowly, but they eat a tremendous amount of food. So a sloth eats 10% of its body weight every single day. That can be sort of a throwaway number until you put it to human perspective. In human perspectives, I weigh 180 pounds. If I was eating 10% of my body weight every single day, that would be 18 pounds of food. 18 16-ounce porterhouse steaks, maybe 30 or 40 hamburgers, depending who made them. Maybe 5 or 6 large pizzas, depending if it was from Gay Grills or Little Caesars, I don't know. But so the sloth is eating a tremendous amount of food, and yet he goes to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month, once in 7 to 10 days. That's solid and liquid at the same time. So when the sloth does go to the bathroom, he really lets it rip. So the sloth is going to eliminate 1/3 of his body mass when he goes to the bathroom. You might think it would be 100%, because if he ate 10% of his body weight every day for 10 days before he went to the bathroom, he has eaten 100% of his body mass since he last eliminated. So if he was gonna, drop it all, that would be 100%, but he metabolizes about 2/3 of that food completely to the point that there's nothing to eliminate. He eliminates about 1/3 of his body weight. Again, putting that to human perspective, I weigh 180. If I was going to eliminate 1/3 of my mass when I went to the bathroom, that would be 60 pounds. That would be epic. Yeah, so tremendous amount of food digests very slowly. The sloth is slow in his metabolism. He digests it slowly, he metabolizes it thoroughly. So when the sloth, but he's eating very low quality food. So that means that the sloth has a very low energy budget. His energy budget is such that a sloth cannot even maintain his body temperature. So the daytime high in the rainforest, mid-80s, nighttime low, high 60s, his core body temperature makes a wide range of temperatures throughout the day, every day, according to the outside air temperature. If a sloth gets too cold, it will kill it. But it would have to get really, if it got down to 0 degrees, obviously it could die of the cold. But if it just gets down to 55, it can die of starvation. Not for lack of food, but for lack of ability to digest the food. The sloth digests his food by a bacterial process, not by an enzymatic process. So for us, and for him, teeth do a lot of work, stomach does a lot of work, stomach acids do a lot of work. But for us, our food reaches the point of absorbability by an enzymatic process. He uses a bacterial process. Now we also have helpful gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria will last throughout our lives unless we take a long course of antibiotics. If we take a long course of antibiotics, that'll kill off our helpful gut bacteria. And we will need probiotics or some good yogurt to replenish our gut bacteria and restore our gut health. A sloth, what would kill his gut bacteria would be cold temperature. But if a sloth's gut bacteria dies out, he cannot run down to GNC and he doesn't have a Publix. So he can't get some Greek yogurt, he can't get some probiotics. So all he can do is die. So the sloth has a different source for his helpful gut bacteria, and the source of that gut bacteria is moths. So the sloth replenishes his gut bacteria by the moths. So when the sloth is in, I got a little out of order there. It might make sense for a minute, but stay with me, it'll come back together. So the sloth, when he's in the tops of the trees, he is entirely safe from predators, with the exception of eagles. When the sloth comes down the tree to go to the bathroom, that is when his life is in danger. And yet he comes down the same tree, same side of the tree, every single time to go to the bathroom in the exact same place that he always goes. When he is in the tops of the trees, the only predator he's subject to is eagles. An eagle can catch him in the tops of the trees. But the only way that the big cats and the big snakes can get him is down at the bottom. Because he only weighs about 15 pounds, he can go much further out to the end of the branch than a predator large enough to threaten his life can go. If the predator pressed the issue to the point that he goes out far enough that the branch breaks, and both the sloth and the big cat fall 80 to 100 feet to the floor of the rainforest from the canopy, the cat likely will die. The sloth will look over at him and say, "Ha, ha," and back up the tree he will go, not at any particular rate of speed, because the sloth is like a slinky and the cat is not. So the sloth will land and most likely he will be fine. And yet, the sloth comes down the same tree to go to the bathroom in the same place every single time. So initial thoughts on moths were that they're just neat animals. That makes no sense, to risk your life because you're neat. Although there are some people that, Adrian Monk maybe, I don't know. But the next thought was that the sloth is fertilizing his own tree because he lives in one tree or a very small set of trees. That was the next thought. That turned out to not be true either. So the actual reason the sloth Comes down the same tree, same side of that tree every single time to go to the bathroom. Got a nice mop in the background today.
I know.
Get that through. The
I'm just
reason he comes down the same tree, same side of the tree every single time to go to the bathroom is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So sloths need moths and moths need sloths. Symbiotic means beneficial to both sides of the equation, where parasitic would be beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other side. So the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the living environment of the moth. The moth will live its entire life on the sloth. The sloth is the food source and living environment of the moth. The sloths are eating the moss and algae that live in the sloth's fur. There will be 100 to 150 moths living in the sloth's fur all of the time. Is this a moth you've got tattooed?
Mother butterflies.
Butterflies, yeah. I had somebody here that we were talking about sloths and moths, and they're like, look, I have moths all over me. And I'm like, oh, you gotta put a sloth in the middle of it. But anyhow, so the benefit to the sloth is that we said he digests his food by a bacterial process. The source of the bacteria is the moths. So as the sloth grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves and a certain amount of the waste of the moths. If the sloth gets too cold, it will kill not only the moths, but it will kill the bacteria, the bacteria both on him and in him because he doesn't maintain his body temperature. Having no GNC and no Food City, he cannot get, probiotics, he can't get Greek yogurt, so he has to replenish his bacteria colony by the moths. That is why the sloth comes down the tree to go to the bathroom. When he comes down the tree to go to the bathroom, the moths get off of the sloth, they lay their eggs in the waste pile, and from there it's row, row, row your boat. Every time he comes down the tree, there's new moths, because the eggs this week are the larvae the next week, and the larvae the next week are the moths the following week. So there are always new moths every time he comes down the tree. They come up onto him. So slowing their digestion, slowing their metabolism, slowing their metabolic processes. So a sloth grows slowly, it lives slowly, it does everything slowly. The youngest the youngest baby sloth here is Dash. Dash weighs 1.5 pounds. Dash is 5 months old. Zoe, the VIP step of this, is 13 months old. Her first birthday was December 16th. She's mid-transition, moving down here to where we are now. She's been in the house for all of her life, which is where Dash currently is. Zoe is just over a year old. She weighs 9 pounds. This guy is a grown adult. He's about 6 years old, and he weighs around 15 pounds. And he's thinking he's out of breakfast and going to sleep. The green beans actually are his favorite. Hey, Bubba. Hey, Flash. You know you still have some breakfast left, buddy. You want your beans? Huh. I guess he's full. So, hey, Bubba. Hey, come here. Watch how good the sense of smell is. If he's in the top of the tree and he hasn't come down yet, we just peel a banana and banana, let's go. I guess he's just genuinely full for the day. So the other physical characteristics of a sloth. So his eyes, he has a structure of his eyes that is called rod monochromacy. It means he has all rod cells, no cone cells. So a sloth sees only in black and white. He never sees color. He doesn't have any cone cells, so no color vision. His vision is horrible all of the time, but it's better at night than it is in the day. He is a nocturnal animal, but it is always terrible. He's working primarily off of his sense of smell and his sense of hearing. He has another, you could call it a sense, which is spatial awareness. When he's in his home range of trees, he knows exactly where everything is, and he could fly around completely blind as fast as he can move. because he just remembers where everything is. The waiting on this, the tank repair guy's supposed to be here an hour ago, I guess.
So what would it envision, like, if you had an example, what would it be? Like, what would it look like?
Black and
Black and white, and if you held your hands like this and try to look through the tiny little holes that you're making right there, that's the way that a sloth is seeing.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. So his vision is just straight up horrible, but he does.
Do you have a picture of the baby?
Say what?
Do you have a picture of the baby?
I do, yeah.
There's a bunch of good videos too that we just took like 2 days ago of both babies.
I said that there was somebody here in white, so we took the advantage of somebody in white to make some pictures of the baby with.
Oh,
And that's what size Zoe is, and that's what size Dash is.
it's a baby.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about the baby in a minute, but I think only one of you is doing the next thing, so we'll talk a little bit about it now. So our baby sloths come to us from a guy who has been breeding sloths for about 30 years. He is a doctor of veterinary medicine who his life basically revolves around sloth conservation. And he has the world's most genius system for raising baby sloths. So his mother animals are all clicker trained. So click, click, click. I'm going to take the baby, but it will be 5 minutes at a time, several times a day by people from the time that it's born. And so the babies get all the nutritional and social advantage of being a mother-raised animal. They're with their mothers until their mothers wean them. But yet they get all the social value of being people-oriented from birth. So when you go to our babies, you'll see that they come crawling right to you. Our babies, the disadvantage in being my wife is that she works in the office all the time. The advantage is she has a baby sloth hanging around her neck for maybe 8 or 10 hours a day. And so that is our next upcoming experience, is going to be a sloth keeper for a day, which will be a very exclusive experience. We'll only do it once a day, but it will last for about half the day. And you will go around with the sloth keeper and do what the sloth keeper does, which is primarily snuggle baby sloths for hours at a time.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so that, keep an eye on the website, that'll be coming up soon. But so yeah, the baby sloths are completely people oriented from birth, and they are going to live their entire life with people, and they will never be hunted by a predator. And sloths in the wild, they say, might live about 20 years, and all they're going to die of being caught by a predator. Well, these days they might also die of power lines, but mainly they'll die of predators. And a sloth in captivity is going to be snuggled and held and loved every day of its life for about 50 years. So yeah, they live a whole lot longer in captivity because nothing preys on them.
Where are wild sloths even at?
Costa Rica, Honduras, Brazil, equatorial rainforest. So some of the biggest things to keeping a sloth: one, never ever ever buy a sloth that was taken out of the rainforest. That's amoral. It's just a horrible thing to do. And you have a sloth that you've taken from its environment, and you know it's trying to adjust. Domesticate's not necessarily a bad thing. My wife domesticated me, but so yeah, domesticated isn't necessarily a bad thing. But you're taking them from everything that they know and having them live somewhere else. Ours, if you try to put them into the rainforest, you're taking ours from everything that they've known for all their life and trying to put them into the rainforest. So similar to a kitten that you got from multiple generations of cats that has lived all of its life in your living room, and you take that thing and throw it out into the forest, it's going to be short. And if you take a feral cat out of the woods and try to bring it into your living room, it is going to be ugly. And that is kind of like our sloths versus wild sloths. So there are websites out there that say that sloths hate to be held, they hate to be petted, they hate to be touched, it's harmful to them, all these things. In the wild, I completely agree with every one of those statements, 100%. And the government of Costa Rica is working very, very hard to combat the wild animal trade. So I understand why they say the things that they say globally, like it's all sloths and the vast majority of sloths are wild. So they say these things globally, motivated by not wanting people in Costa Rica to grab sloths out of the rainforest, set up a little roadside stand, and then people are like, oh, cute, let's pet a sloth. That's harmful to that animal. Really is. Completely agree. But we don't have wild sloths. We have multiple generation captive bred sloths. And when you see the next one, you'll see how very much they like to be held. This guy came to us from a zoo that he was in a static display for his first 2 years. So it is not natural to him to be held. So you can see he doesn't mind being petted, but he's not trying to be held. When you see the babies, that is all that they want, is to be held and snuggled and loved on. But it is a difference in upbringing. And so, yeah. And this guy also, multiple generations captive bred. But he was bred by a place that's breeding sloths for zoos. Our babies were bred by a guy who doesn't like to be named because he doesn't like people to be calling him. He does only USDA licensed facilities with extensive background checks. And he only sells to very, very select set of people. But he's been doing sloth conservation for about 30 years. I think we are ready to move on. Are we ready?
Ready.
All right. So we're just going to transfer directly from them to this person, but I'm going to let Flash go in first so we don't have to worry about the door. All right, so for our online audience, people often wonder, some people think that this sloth lives on one branch in our kitchen. That is not true. You guys are welcome to walk in there and see where the sloth lives. Sloth has a 2-story tall environment. He's got trees, he's got hammocks, he's got bunk bed hammocks. He's got his food that he eats, food free choice all the time. If he does not come out here for his environment, he still gets all of his food. He is not required to perform if he doesn't feel like it. But now that his belly is full and he's feeling sleepy, he's going to walk up there and lay in his hammock and probably sleep for about the next 3 or 4 hours.
Oh my gosh. Do they not get like tired of hanging or climbing?
They do not.
I would.
Give me just a second to answer somebody here, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll show you.
So they're kind of set up opposite of us. So like it takes us a lot of effort to pull things in. It's the opposite. So when you see when they go to retract, they'll pull back really quick, but then they extend slow. So when they're holding themselves, it requires less energy.
And for us, if we were trying to hang on this bar, hanging like this, we could remember from a PE class that a minute is a long time to do a 2-arm hang.
Yeah.
This is our stress or exertion state. This is exerting energy. This is our relaxed state. This is exerting no energy. Sloth is the opposite. This is his relaxed state. This is exerting no energy. This is his exertion state. This is exerting energy. It is so true that the sloth is exerting no energy to hang on that branch, that if a sloth died hanging, it would continue to hang dead. So they wouldn't necessarily even fall if they were dead. They could continue to hang there until something rotted or something knocked them out of the tree.
He's just sticking his hand up. How cute. That's so cute.
All right. Which of the two of you is the moving on person? Okay, great.
The smiling,
Get my
the very, somebody commented, they go, she's been smiling the whole time. I was like, I think she's happy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move this camera out so we can get in there. I'm gonna get this out of your way. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Alright, I think she's ready too.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out.
Bye. Have fun. It's great.
Hello. Come on in.
There you go, guys.
Thank you.
Don't get
If
too
you
cold
guys
out
had a
there.
good time. We would very much appreciate a Google review.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. You guys are tremendous.
Thank you very much.
So go ahead and have a seat there. Is that on still?
I'm gonna come back.
There are enough people in the world that think that no one should own a sloth that we try to offset some of those 1 stars with some 5s.
This one's not gonna get even better.
No, or a snake.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming out today, guys.
Do you have some more
We are
warm
on
to be
ourselves.
while you're
I
waiting?
was just gonna say the
Okay. I was like, you're gonna bring. I was like, do you need like an office or something? Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll probably still be streaming either on like TikTok, YouTube, or something like that. So if you want to watch, you can.
Okay, perfect.
You're welcome.
Do you have car keys? Yes. Well, good, 'cause you might freak out here.
That's. I just asked her. I said, do you have somewhere warm to sit, or do you need an office?
Yeah, right.
All right.
Okay, I'll do this next one.
There is another one in here.
Say what?
There is another one in here. Oh, you're gonna do that.
I'm gonna do this.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what you're saying.
And so for petting her is just little
So I might
things
just let her
exactly
do
like
it.
how you're doing right
There
there.
you gotta go work in the
What
office.
you don't wanna do is you don't wanna
Check on the fish tank. I'm sure she does this.
Hey guys, we're gonna move the cameras here inside for just a second, and we'll be doing a baby sloth encounter. But I'm just kind of letting her get set up.
That way you can actually see her face. She'll be totally fine, you don't need to like support her. You'll see how she's still holding onto your sweatshirt. So she'll be fine, she'll just reach wherever she wants to. She's like a cat. Look at her. No, you know, for.
spinach. Breakfast a little bit ago. So if she leans like that, that's totally fine. She'll kind of explore and look around. So this, people ask like, is she playful or anything? Like this would be her play. It's just kind of like exploring and looking around. So she doesn't like, and I didn't cover this already, she doesn't like her belly touched. But yeah, you could rub kind of like her back there. What are you getting, Zoe? Sniffing? Hi. Yeah, so just put your hand there on her side. Because we don't want her nibbling on hands. And so she's just kind of like reaching and exploring right now. Just see how she has like really good muscles. So she can do lots of sit-ups, no problem. So that little noise that she's making, that little like squeak noise, so those are her front teeth, and they just kind of like rub together like that, and it makes that squeaky noise. But when they rub together, they're sharpening every time she does that. So like every time she eats or just opens and closes her mouth like that, they're rubbing together.
And they
So she does
sharpen?
have, so she does have very sharp teeth.
It doesn't grind them down?
Because they're not grinding like this, they're going side to side. So it's sharpening the two that are rubbing together. Actually, there's four, two on top, two on bottom. Yeah, she's pretty snuggly. If you have a camera, I can do
It's
pictures.
in my pocket.
Yeah, just switch hands and you can grab it, and then so Zoe will be totally fine. Hi, Zoe. Oh, she's looking. Okay, look at me. Oh, that's cute. Good job, Zoe. You're a paid actor. Let's see if I can get her this way. Hi. You gonna reach? Get a cute little picture of you reaching. Hi, Zoe. What you doing?
So are you like her normal?
Yeah, I would say, well, so John and Donna, John was doing the encounter with Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So he and his wife own the farm. And so his wife would be Zoe's main caregiver. But as far as employees here, that I would say I'd probably be the main person outside of John that takes care of her. What you doing, Zoe? Oh, so when holding her back is just create that little ledge underneath her butt, so she doesn't like the pressure there on her back. There you go. Yep. So she just wants a little ledge to sit on, but she doesn't want to be cradled.
Okay.
When she feels that pressure on her butt, she's like, "What is that?" Hi, Zoe. You're very active this morning. Say the people before she just kind of like laid there, and now she's getting into. Nope, she's gonna hold on. Hi, little nugget. What you doing? Silly girl. I think it's fun when she's like this because she actually does stuff. What you doing? I tried to get you some spinach leaves, but you didn't want those. So I guess we're not doing those. What you think?
And then there's a little baby.
Yes. So we have a baby. And his name is Dash. So we have Dash, Flash, the adult, and then Zoe. And he's so small, he just hangs onto your bicep like this. So she's just gonna come up and just do like she did before. It's all good. There you go.
Oh my god. He's so little. Just hangs on your bicep.
Mm-hmm. He's super tiny.
Oh my gosh. She's looking for you.
Yeah. So she has really good sense of smell, and hearing is going to be her next strongest sense, and then sight is going to be her least strongest. Zoe. I did lots of pictures and then a video too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're so cute.
Yeah, this is her day. So after your encounter with her today, she'll just go back up in her little hammock and take a nap and chill out. Have her dinner tonight. Yep. Yeah, and then like what you're doing is like you can lay her across your lap and she can relax without having your hand, or your right hand. You don't need that one underneath her. Yep, and she'll be just good. What you doing, Zoe? So this is kind of like what she does in her hammock. Is she kind of sprawls out like that and reaches around and stretches and explores. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, sweet girl. Like, what is all this? Hi, sweet girl. What you doing? So you can tell she's comfortable because otherwise she wouldn't do all that. And she's just gonna reach up for you and get there again.
We're one and the same.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Zoe. Hi, sweet girl. I tried giving you a snack, but you weren't interested, so you just play around. Be a little Silly self. Are you holding her hands? That's kind of cute. You just gonna go to sleep like that? She's really cute when she sleeps in her hammock. She just kind of sits like this, and then she takes her back legs and does like crisscross applesauce, and then slunches over, and then same thing with her arms like this, and crisscross. She just looks like a big ball, and it's just the cutest thing.
The baby.
Mm-hmm.
You can only turn.
She turns into a little sloth ball.
Oh my gosh.
Do they stay in here too?
So they're in here because of the cold weather, but normally they'd be outside.
Okay.
But it's way too cold for them outside, and we don't have like heat lamps and everything set up for them outside, and so we just bring them in.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that way we don't have to worry about them. And then if like they wander off outside of the heat lamp, and then they don't know how to get back, and then they're too cold and whatnot, so it's just better. Just bring them in.
What kind of animals do y'all have here?
So we have about 120 animals or so total, 40 different species. So let's see if I can remember. Of course, we have the cat, like the normal farm animal stuff: cows, goats, llamas, sheep. We have a turkey, horses, ponies. As far as the exotic animals, we have the sloths, obviously, kangaroos. We have the baby kangaroos here in the barn, and we have adults out in the pasture. And then we have camels, zebra. We have a donkey. That's not an exotic, but they hang out together. They're buddies. Emus. And then inside the barn, we have the micro squirrels. They're tiny little, they look like little mice, but they're squirrels. And they got little squirrel tails. They're very cute.
Oh.
They're very cute, and they're very small. That's why I call them micro. The coatimundis, which are right here behind the kangaroos, they have they look like a raccoon almost, like an anteater raccoon. So those are a South American or Central and South American animal, kind of like a raccoon that would be for there. What else do we have? Bearded dragons, leopard geckos, iguanas, the sulcata tortoises, hedgehogs, sugar gliders. We have 2 macaws and 2 umbrella cockatoo parrots. Fish, I don't know all the fish species, so I just say fish. Saltwater up in the house. He doesn't do encounters yet. But he is just adorable. Let's see if I can find a picture. So here's the micro squirrel.
Dude.
They look like a little mouse, cute little mouse. And then there's the fox.
Oh.
He's so cute. He's real small too. He won't get much bigger than that. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then an armadillo. How did I forget our armadillo? Baku.
Chinchilla too.
That's right. See, I knew I was forgetting somebody in there. So that's our armadillo.
They're like roly-polies.
So he is a three-banded armadillo, which is native to Brazil. We have a nine-banded armadillo here in the U.S. And I think they're super cute.
Does it scare you?
Oh, did I make you jump, Zoe? I'm sorry. Yeah, our armadillo is probably one of my favorite animals here.
Why is that?
He's just so cute and awkward,
And awkward.
like just goofy, and he's just so relaxed and like.
Oh, you have it? Where was
Yeah.
that?
Yep,
Where was that at?
he's in the room next door
With the.
with Flash. So he hangs kind of like these guys hang out on the floor. He hangs out on the floor in Flash's room. So this is Baku.
Oh my gosh.
So his little nose. And that's the top of his head. We'll see if we can get him to open up in his tail. But this is actually his skin. It's not a shell like tortoises have.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so this is where he gets his name, three-banded. So 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And he's got little hairs there on his skin. So she'll just climb back up.
Right.
And let's see if we can get him to open up a little bit.
I don't bite.
No.
Ooh, it's hair. That's weird looking.
Yeah, he is funny looking. Hi, Zoe. But yeah, that's Baku.
That's adorable.
And then he runs around. He looks like a little baked potato running around on the ground. So cute.
Baked potato is crazy.
Hey, Zoe. I know, do I smell different? I smell like I'm on the pillow now. Yeah, they're used to being outside, so they're like, why can't we move around?
Man.
Yeah. And this is the male, and he always shoves the female around. So like right now, he's got her pushed up against the corner, so she can't move. It's like, that's their normal little routine. It's natural male behavior too, is to push the females around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do you do? It's just the luck of the draw, chick, I'm sorry.
Happens to everyone.
Yeah. Franklin.
His name is Franklin.
Franklin. Franklin and Fiona.
Can they even feel that?
Yes. Yep, they can feel that. Hey, buddy. Frank your butt.
What do you think of Zoe?
He's adorable.
Isn't she?
Yeah, she's pretty special.
I wonder what he has that on. Must be YouTube or something. I don't know.
Hello. Came in here and pushed a bunch of buttons and then left. Like, okay. Did you smell John? So she's kind of like lifting and sniffing around, so she recognizes John's smell too. Yeah, she's definitely got some more growing to do, but she weighs 9 pounds now, and Flash weighs, I think, like around 15. So it's like she doesn't have a ton more weight because she's got about 2 more years of growing. She doesn't have a ton more weight to gain, but her body has a lot of growing because Flash is physically a lot bigger than her,
Mm-hmm.
like lengthwise and arms and legs and stuff, and so she's got that to go.
And then there's a little baby.
Yeah, give Fiona some room over there, Franklin. Thank you. Such a gentleman. Leave her alone. Don't run into the tripods. slow turn around. I think it's interesting when he kind of turns around a little bit. And see these spikes here on his legs? So that's what he uses to dig. And they can actually dig 8 to 10 foot holes in the ground, in the dirt. And they use these spikes as like shovels.
What
to
are
just
they digging for that?
dig and dig, just bury themselves and create a little hidey hole. That would be their little living space in the wild. Yeah. Big old naughty legs. Where are you from?
New York, Georgia.
How far is that from? I'm not super familiar with the area.
It's like 4.5 hours.
Okay.
Not too far.
Yeah. So, all the noise, so she's like holding on a little tighter. She's like, okay, hold me. Yeah, she's definitely a good smuggler.
It's like a baby.
Mm-hmm. I think it's better than a baby because like she can really hold on to you. Don't cry. Sloths don't really make.
diaper.
No, they only go poop every 7 to 10 days roughly.
Look at that.
Yeah. Yep, sloths don't make really any noises. They don't have a scream or, you know, cry or anything.
Just feeling your feet. I don't like feet. I like pushing feet. Little feet. Tortoise, sorry. They're tortoise.
Yeah, when they lay eggs, when they're hatched, the babies are just so small. It's just like a little mini version of that, and they're like this big. Like, how do you go from this to that? And they're like, that's not even. Do you know how old Franklin is?
Franklin is 27.
27. My guess was like, I'm like, maybe 30. And I was
Yeah,
thinking
he's
Fiona was around 20 maybe.
Not sure they're, it's hard to tell with her because she looks rougher. But I
Yeah.
think it's just the enclosure she was in for so long.
Yeah, because her
They
legs
say
are
you can
kind of
count her
long.
rings,
Oh.
but it's only certain rings, kind of like a tree.
Mhm.
But yeah, her claws are worn out if you can tell. It seems like she was in a box or something.
Yeah.
Before we got her. Because she honestly, I've never seen her dig.
Yeah,
And they're
she
supposed to
went-
dig.
Yeah, she went really big.
Franklin
into it.
digs.
Yeah, he's got some good spikes on him.
So I think she stayed in a concrete area.
Oh.
But yeah, our babies upstairs are cute.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if Bobby wants some banana.
Oh.
I'll put a piece in there.
Yeah, see what he does. I know, I always feel bad, like, can I give you something other, Baku? Like,
I keep thinking,
Just
if
the
they
normal
were in
stuff.
the wild, what would they be eating?
Yeah.
So if they come across fruit, surely they'd try it, right?
yeah.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah, and you're welcome to take, make sure that the pictures that I took for you, that you like them. So you can take selfies, videos, whatever you want. Yeah. You wanna make sure you get the pictures you like.
Let's give Franklin and then the rest of this banana.
Yeah.
It's their favorite, other than watermelon. Love it. I'll go put these peelings in the worms.
There was one picture that I took that you were like laughing and she was on your lap and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Fantastic.
What do you think, Franklin? Big old thing. Alright. I'm gonna turn the light out so Zoe knows it's kind of like her resting time, and then you can more than welcome to watch me put her up in her hammock.
Okay.
Because it's really cute watching her go to bed. Get all snuggled in. She definitely has a real routine. Hey Zoe. I'm gonna go to your right side here. Hi Zoe. You ready to go to bed? Come on. So she should reach for me here a little bit. Come on. Here you go. Good job. I wonder if we can switch this so that way viewers can watch too. It's really cute. Oh.
I'm helping you.
Okay, I got one move, but